That's close.
Thank you, Ruth. Yeah, thanks for coming, ma'am. Have a seat, and we appreciate it.
What's his position on foreign affairs?
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
Hi, Farmer Johnny.
I know that the Middle East dominates the foreign affairs right now, but I think Bernie's going to have to talk about Putin and China. You have to expand beyond the Middle East. So has he?
I did not find the sources that I used. I didn't find any statements.
Speak up.
I didn't find any statements about Putin or about China. Yes, ma'am.
All of the resources are from BernieSanders.com and fieldtheburden.org. So maybe he didn't address those. I don't know. Maybe he needs to, right?
He has. I read it, but I didn't prepare for that.
Any more questions, Jerry? Any questions?
Well, I was just
comment
on the closing Guantanamo. I think Obama had promised that and ran into the usual stalemates. And so I guess I really want to know, what is he going to do about the things that have stalemated us from accomplishing some of the things like closing Guantanamo. It's been the fact that the state's prisons wouldn't accept those people. We can't send them back to where they were. So, what are you going to do with them?
I guess what you're saying is because Obama claimed that he was going to be able to do that, and he wasn't able to do that, right? And Bernie can say he can do it, but can he really do it? That's a good question.
I don't.
We don't have an answer for that. Brian, stand up.
He was asked that question in a rally that I happened to see on television, and his response was, I can't do it alone. I've got to bring people into Congress. People are going to have to join me after the primaries because we'll need support in Congress to do it. Congress actually passed a law saying we couldn't bring anybody from Guantanamo onto the continental United States. It has to be done in Congress. So we'll have to grow some coattails after the primary.
Yes, Bill?
I'd just like to say that one of the differences between Obama and Bernie Sanders is that Obama did not, after he was elected, take advantage of the swelling of opinion in his side, and there he lost it. And Bernie Sanders has addressed this since his first time. I heard him in on July 29th, that he is only can be successful as all of us back him, and that he's going to come to us and have us on each issue and say, come on and support me if that's what you want. And we have to do it in a mass. Because if the American people don't demand it, it's not going to happen.
That's an excellent point, Bill. He talks about a political revolution, that even once he does get elected, he's going to carry that revolution forward. And he's going to need a grassroots backing to do that, right? Okay. Thank you very much, Ellen. Our next speaker is a fellow by the name of John Darovec. Did I pronounce that, John?
Close enough.
Is that close enough? John is a retired biologist, an Air Force captain, a physician's assistant. He's worked as a marine biologist for the state of Florida, and he now leads volunteers in a local citizens climate lobby group. Let's welcome John Darovec.
We're looking for about 6 slides in this whole morass of whatever's on this computer.
Take the attention away from these guys.
Why don't you sit and start your talking? Let you look to the side.
What's your email? I'll give the direction.
John, go ahead.
Well, it's kind of hard to start since it starts with a slide, but, okay, the slide would be of the 18 issues that as Bernie sees them, as he divided them out. And Ellen has talked about one of those. If you went to fieldofburn.org, you
There it is.
There we go.
Don't worry. Just hit.
So that's a good picture. Field burn, anyway. That's it. Now I got it.
All right. Go ahead and do it. You just hit this button. All right.
Okay, so you go to fieldburn.org, and under issues you see this array of issues. Ellen spoke here, foreign policy and national security. Military and veterans is over there. Push that one and you'll see everything I know. Okay?
Actually, if I didn't even see the slide.
What I'd like to do, what I want to do is address, say first what the problem is, and then go and give Bernie's 3 solutions to the problem, and then under each of those solutions, say why he feels that would be a solution, and then what's his record, what has he done so far along each of those. So that's my plan, and it's the only plan I got. So the problem is easily expressed in 3 words: military-industrial complex. Okay, why is that a bad thing? Well, there's 3 reasons up here why that's a bad thing. The first is that it's a self-perpetuating system. As President Eisenhower, former General Eisenhower, warned us way back in the day. So the military needs hardware, okay? This is why it's self-perpetuating. The hardware makers need customers. And the Congress is willing to finance all of that, more than finance it. You've probably heard tales of the Air Force going to Congress and asking for 160 of some sort of planes, and the Congress saying, no, you gotta have 200. So, and why does that happen? Well, it's kind of consistent with the way our government is set up, really. In each of the 435 congressional districts, there's bound to be some sort of company that's supplying something or another to the military, whether it's tires or circuit boards or food. The military takes everything. And the congressman's going to want to support that company and the employees and jobs therein. So most likely a congressman's going to vote to do something in the military. So it's kind of it's almost a malignant sort of thing. The second part of the problem is that the military hurts people. I mean, you can elaborate on that as well as I can. And Ellen has mentioned some of the statistics involved in there. My favorite statistic is that if it happens to you, it's 100%. So I would ask you to be a little empathetic here towards all civilians in war-torn areas and that sort of thing. And, I guess the goal of the military is to eliminate enemy combatants. Is that a nice thing to do? I don't, those guys are somebody's children too. And last, it's expensive. All right, well, how expensive? See if I can do this from over on the side. This circle on the right is a pumpkin pie that represents all the spending by our government. Some of the bigger helpings go to health, blue, Social Security, red, and military is over here in the gold. On the left, we have another way of showing things, but this is just the, what is it? This is the topping on the pumpkin pie. And so it represents only part of this. It's the part that the government can, or the Congress can vote on each year. And each year, as long as I've looked at this, the government votes in of the money the Congress allocates. Am I confusing you there? This is the Congress yearly allocates this. A lot of this is set in stone before the current Congress can do it. Okay? So over here, each year after year, about 60% of what they do allocate goes to the military. Here's another way of looking at the same thing. The bar on the right is United States military spending of $610 billion. The bar on the left is the total of military spending in China, Russia, Saudi Arabia, France, United Kingdom, India, and Germany combined. And that only adds up to $601 billion. So we spend more than those 7 countries combined. I didn't choose the color scheme for the United States. If I had, it would have been blue. Got that? Okay, and here you can tell there's 3 things up here, right? That's all you need to do. These are the 3 solutions that Bernie believes in. First is basically the use of military as a last resort. The second one says support military members, the active duty, and their families. And the third says support veterans. Okay, so what are his beliefs about using military force? Well, as Ellen pointed out, he's more in favor of using diplomacy and war as a last resort. He's also concerned about the lack of accountability in military spending. Okay, why spend $3,000 to get a part from Boeing when you get the same one for $15 from someplace even closer at hand? And the third thing I found out because of current events is he believes that the war with ISIS is a war for the soul of Islam, and Muslim countries should take a lead in the fighting. That makes sense to me. If I'm a Muslim, I don't want a bunch of thugs being the face of my religion. Okay, I mean, just makes sense. Okay, so what's his record on the use of military force? Well, as is already mentioned, he voted against the Gulf War and against the 2003 invasion of Iraq, but he did vote in favor of force to end human rights violations in Yugoslavia and to fight Al-Qaeda after 9/11. If you go to fieldofburn.org, I forget the outfit that did it, but his entire legislative career has been analyzed, and they say, yeah, he would highly favor diplomacy before the use of military force and use that as a last resort. Okay, going to the second point here, then his second solution here then is what are his beliefs about supporting military members and families? He says we should protect and defend those who have protected and defended us. His particular concern for these people include their risk of injury or death during training or deployment, their separation from family, their frequent moves, their living in foreign countries, their long and unpredictable duty hours, and the pressure to conform to the high standards of behavior expected in the military. Among his concerns for the family members of our active duty people are that women and children are often subject to prolonged separation from spouse or parent, and they too are subject to frequent relocations. And as a result, something like 40% of the spouses, either sex, have jobs that did not match their education level, jobs that must be, jobs that they must have, though, to augment their military income. So what's his record on supporting military, active duty military and their families? Well, in 2008, he co-sponsored the post 9/11 GI Bill that passed the Senate in June of that year. He has introduced Comprehensive Veterans Health Benefits Act, which transfers GI benefits to spouses and dependents. And he's a founding member of the Senate Military Families Caucus. A caucus is basically any group of legislators with a like interest that they name the caucus after. And on to the third point here, what's his belief about supporting veterans? Pretty simple. He strongly believes that when the government sends young American men and women off to war, the government absolutely must be prepared to take care of them when they come home. And what's his record of acting on that belief? Well, he's fought for the better health care and education for the 20 million United States veterans. Specifically, as chairman of the Senate Veterans Affairs Committee, he was from 2013 to 2015, he negotiated passage of the Veterans Choice and Accountability Act, which helps veterans access health care through the VA. The law provides $500 million to hire more doctors and nurses for the VA system and directs the VA to build an additional 26 facilities. The total cost of the bill, now this includes the fact that people can go out, the fact that veterans can go out and use private medical care through the VA. The cost was projected to be $16.3 billion, making it the largest piece of veterans legislation to be passed since the post 9/11 GI Bill. And he wasn't done with that. His massive Senate Bill number 1982 sought to cover an incredible collection of important issues that affect veterans, their spouses, and their survivors. This bill proposed to expand, we got a long list coming here. So he's interested in expanding health care, employment services, the Veterans Retaining Assistance Program, VRAP. That's already a program and he wants to expand. There's a few of those. The Service Members Civil Relief Act, mental health screening and care, as well as suicide prevention efforts, reproductive health treatments for wounded vets, military sexual trauma awareness efforts, disability ratings, dental care, VA building reform, survivors benefits, veteran hiring initiatives. Another act to expand is the Uniformed Services Employment and Reemployment Rights Act. He also wants to expand VA accountability and reform, outreach for services, cost of living adjustments, and many, many more provisions. Many veteran service organizations stood with Bernie when he introduced this bill. That's a list of the veteran service organizations that were there with us.
Long list. This goes backwards, right?
Yeah. In summary then, Bernie has been concerned about these three main solutions to the military-industrial complex problem for some time, and his record has shown he has acted on those concerns. Unless you're a corporate CEO, you should probably register as a Democrat and vote for Bernie in the March primary.
Thank you.
Thank you, John, for talking about that. Okay, we're going to take another break. Before we do, I just want to mention one thing. We do have some items over there, some buttons and some bumper stickers, and we have some yard signs. We want people to donate, if they can, possibly for some locals, local causes, so that we can advertise these forums, maybe in the newspapers, and get some advertising and get some more people involved. We also have a possibility of maybe even having a television series here locally based upon the forums. And if we can create generate some funding, we can do that. And instead of touching 30 people in a single room like this, we can think about touching tens of thousands of people in a television program. So when you think about donating to Bernie, please think about donating locally so we can become more effective locally. Okay, so just enjoy yourselves, talk to yourselves a little bit, and then we'll have a question and
I'm going to
answer
shut down
Thank you.
and open up again when they start. Stay tuned.
Already have a question, Sally?
Watch my channel.
Have you confirmed with your